This video is meant to be a comprehensive overview of the Sumo Deadlift. I'm going to go over grip position, foot position, execution of the deadlift, recommended exercises for building technique, as well as just give a general overview of the Sumo Deadlift as a whole, including why it might be superior to the conventional deadlift. And it should be noted that for some individuals, the Sumo Deadlift might just not be a valid option. The conventional might be superior, whether that's due to limb lengths or just muscular build in terms of what is genetically strong on the individual, or just what feels comfortable. What's most important is that the individual recognizes that when done properly, the Sumo Deadlift shouldn't just be a wide stance conventional deadlift, and instead should exploit the leverage gained in a wide stance position, and in most cases, with sufficient technique, be superior to the conventional deadlift. In terms of foot position, ideally an individual would go toes to the plates, but in reality, they may not be able to generate enough power, or their hip insertions may not make this feasible. Additionally, some lifters may find they need to have the toes straight. Others may find they need to turn them out roughly 45 degrees, which is where the majority of lifters lie, and some may go even further out. The downside to going too far out is that there may be issues with speed off the floor, although a benefit may be that the hips are closer to the bar. Another drawback may be that there is a lack of speed off the floor. With the feet forward, the lifter may be able to better activate their adductors, and they may be able to get more drive off the floor, but the moment arm may become greater between the barbell and the hip, and there may be more upper back faulting when the loads become sufficient enough or the RPs are elevated. All in all, we're trying to find a foot stance somewhere outside of the hands in such a way that we can leverage off of the barbell effectively. We want to make sure that the feet are in a position such that it's not causing excessive discomfort beyond just naturally acclimating to a Sumo Deadlift position. Grip width is relatively straightforward to figure out. We simply want the hands underneath of the shoulders in order to maintain maximum efficiency. An error in having the hands too close is that not only will you possibly run into grip issues as you're not holding onto the knurling, you also may not be able to activate the lat sufficiently, and you may end up with a rounded back position that's hard trying to curl at heavy loads. Too wide a grip and you're effectively shortening your arms. Obviously not something you want to do, but you may find it slightly easier to use your lats. So again, ideally the hands remain underneath the shoulders. It's important to note that there are two ways of executing the Sumo Deadlift, either top down or bottom up. Top down, the benefit is that once you find your correct posture at the top, all you simply have to do is grab the bar and go from there. The downside is if a lifter is doing 7, 3, 5, 6, 8, whatever it is, they likely are not going to do a complete reset and continue to do the entire set top down. The alternative is to do a bottom-up setup where you reach the bar and then you get everything tight and execute it. The benefit being, obviously in contrast to the top-down, is that the lifter is going to keep replicating this throughout each rep and therefore making the set more consistent as a whole. It doesn't matter all too much, but a top-down setup is likely easier to teach to a novice and might be helpful to practice with singles. In terms of lower body positioning, whether you are feet forward or feet out, we want to have tension throughout the legs. And of course, if you're more turned out, you're going to need more external rotation. The caveat being that we don't want to shut off the adductors. We don't want to be pushing out so much that we're shutting off the adductors completely. We want to ensure the leg is completely active at all times. For those individuals with a feet forward stance, This might be naturally easier to do, but it's something to take note of for those individuals with a more externally rotated stance. As far as pelvis positioning goes, obviously we do not want to be in this anterior pelvic tilt. It's going to put significant stress on the lower back. We also don't want to be excessively posteriorly tilted, because that again will put significant stress on the back. Just a very neutral pelvic position, tension in the legs, and making sure that the adductor and abductors are turned on. As far as torso positioning goes, you want to make sure that yes, the lumbar spine is neutral, and the thoracic spine is neutral as well. We don't want to have the scapula retracted, but instead we want it to be depressed. This will keep our chest in a neutral position, not extended, but neutral, which should lend itself to a nice lockout. What that looks like is this. Grab the bar if you're doing a top-down setup. Some individuals advocate for a round back in the conventional deadlift. That may work in the conventional deadlift, although I don't recommend it. Same goes with the sumo deadlift. You may find you're able to get some speed off the floor, but you're likely going to end up with significant difficulties in locking the weight out. What's best, likely for you, is keep a neutral spine and really focus on having the shoulders low. As far as head position goes, you'll be hard pressed to find many elite deadlifters who have the head down. You may find some individuals who have the head neutral, but in the large part, at high intensities, maximal loads, or maximum RPEs, most elite deadlifters are going to have the head up. This isn't because this does some magical thing to your body, but more so because it facilitates and makes it easier in general to lever yourself off the bar, as well as pull on the bar. It cues you to pull with your thoracic spine instead of simply pushing with the legs. Yes, sumo is a push and a pull, as you've probably heard, but we want to make sure that not only would we have our head down and just push with the legs, but we have our head up and swing ourselves backwards off of the barbell. It's much easier to do with the head up and packing the neck than it is to have the head down. So it's not necessary, but it is recommended. Once you understand all the components that go into the sumo deadlift, all you have to do is combine them together in order to execute the movement correctly. The most important part is going to be taking whip out of the bar. This is done through shoulder extension, which also activates the lats. You can audibly hear when you're taking the whip out of the bar through here. Not only does taking whip out of the bar allow you to wedge yourself against the barbell, it also keeps the bar close to you and makes you more efficient as a whole. Going from the bottom up, setting it for the deadlift would look something like this. As discussed with foot position earlier, whether you're turned out or turned in, we want both the inside and outside of the legs active. We don't want to be in a valgus position, we want the knees stacked over the foot. We need the hamstrings and the glutes active, the pelvis not to be extended or tucked. We want the shoulders low and the lats contributing through shoulder extension. The head should be tucked back and either neutral or slightly up. A top-down setup, therefore, will look something like this. One finer point about the sumo deadlift that's not often discussed is knee lock timing. Knee lock timing is going to be largely dependent on how wide or close you are, as well as your arm length. In general, if we maintain a good position off the floor, we can have the knees lock early and then pull through with the back. This is what people are referring to when they discuss the deadlift being a push and then a pull. So this would look like being in a good position here, keeping the bar close, locking at the last minute, and then pulling through. Failure to do this will likely result in the lifter getting jammed up towards lockout, which will look like something like this. The lifter is now stuck. If they lock the knees, they'll be too forward and drop the deadlift, and they cannot push their hips through. It's important to note that if positioning is poor off the floor, if the individual is too rounded or pitched too far forward, locking the knees early is going to end up with the bar coming forward and likely an inability to lock the weight out. Knee lock timing is something that should be practiced and perfected. When done properly, the lockout should not be an issue, even up to significant overload work. As you can notice in this video, the Sumo Deadlift has a lot of components to it. When done correctly, the barbell should levitate off the floor, weights up to 60 to 70%, maybe even higher for some individuals. What I mean by this is the lats are sufficiently tight, when the chest is in a good position, when the legs are active, when you're spreading the floor, if you were a turned out foot stance, when everything is done correctly, the lifter can leverage themselves against the barbell and cause the bar to float on its own. Looks like something like this. As far as recommended exercises go, remember that our goal is to exploit our leverages as much as possible in order to get the most out of the Sumo Deadlift. Otherwise, there isn't really much benefit of doing it. Some exercises that you may find helpful are pausing off the floor, with the goal simply being to be levering off the barbell. Pausing below the knee. Pausing at locking the knees. Or tempo eccentrics. Or deficit deadlifts. Remembering that the goal the entire time is to be levering off the barbell. Even there, you saw my feet were coming off the ground because I was levering effectively. Keep the bar close to you, lever off of it, and exploit your leverages. Hopefully you found this video of some help. Not only did we discuss torso and lower body positioning, we also discussed executing the Sumo Deadlift, as well as leveraging off against the bar and exercise prescription. It's incredibly important to remember that the Sumo Deadlift is not just a wide stance conventional deadlift. We have to exploit our leverages maximally in order to make this a valuable and superior alternative to a conventional deadlift. If you want to learn more about it, JP Cauchi and David Woolson have fantastic videos on YouTube. I highly recommend them.